Welcome. I am Crimey Queen, and if you are joining us for the first time, this is the channel where we have fun with words and numbers, numerology to be precise. I love numerology. Okay, numerology, of course, but based with the scriptural references from the King James Version of the Holy Bible. Yes, that's what we're about here on Crimey Queen's channel. Okay, now, if you are joining us for the first time, let me introduce you to our lovely Mother Eve. Of course, this is about Adam and Eve in the garden. This is the story that we have been more or less been conditioned by. Of course, whether you were religious or not, or spiritual or not, you would find that the sin of shame and guilt would have followed you some way, somehow, would have some kind of seed, like its kind, within you. Yes, that's what we have been conditioned by. And then, of course, it's also part of the construct of the story of Jesus Christ dying on the cross to save mankind. Now, again, if you think that is a fictitious story or it was real, or whichever way, that too would have some kind of impact on our makeup or lifestyle. Now, it's okay to say, for instance, I don't believe in any of this, but then when Christmas comes, you are bombarded with the environment of Christmas lights, Christmas trees, or Easter time, and so it still becomes part of us somehow, in whether directly or indirectly. Now, that's one of the reasons why I also felt, because I didn't think I had the power to change all those things around me, and the only power, which I still do think, that the only power that I can really find is that which is within me, to change my way of thinking, my perspective about the whole stories that have served me only up to a certain point, with some disappointments along the way. So there we are, believing that this in itself, as fictitious or not, has in it a key that would help us to discover the truth that is really within us. So one of the things that I really hinged on was the teaching of Jesus Christ from the story of Christ, where he spoke of the answer of anything. Well, I say anything, but the answer is within. And of course, that tells me if the answer is within, I could continue to explore the teachings of Jesus Christ in that sense. So I believe that there is a deal of wisdom in the stories. And of course, as I say, whether it's true or not, that's I believe that they are there to serve some kind of divine purpose. And so far enjoying what I have now been discovering from King James Holy Bible. Of course, that is really on the basis of looking at numerology. So, of course, what I have discovered so far is that we are the result of we are the result of an experiment, or we could also say the result or the makeup of 14 gods. And those 14 gods are divided in sets of twos, which would be like 7 and 7. Whether I don't know, now it seemed like the thought of a fortnight came to mind, because I do this intuitively with the guidance of Mother Eve. Now, I believe that Eve also was a fictitious story, but the divine energy that has been depicted from that story is that which I channel through in my presentations, and of course in my as a guide. And so Mother Eve, of course, the divine feminine is not fictitious to me. There's a divine feminine, and I still hold that or regard that divine feminine as Eve, as the evening, as that which evens things, as in everything, everywhere, nevertheless, every day, every time, all those EVE that we use all the time, we use every day. So that is in my acknowledgement of that divine energy. I believe every time we are using, we call directly on the EVE, whether it was in 7 or 17 or 11 or so, those numbers, we are connecting directly with Mother Eve. She is at the core of that which we have just spelled out. So these are the wonderful teachings that I have discovered. I also have discovered that, of course, there were 14 Eves as well. That would coincide with the 14 gods that I'm talking about. And then we have also these 14 Eves are representations of the 7 visible planets and the 7 seas. We also have discovered that we are as well the number of 6, as we often hear, because we are this of 6 species. Now, of course, we are number 7 too, but that is including the day of rest. Now, when all these 14s that I have called, whether they were the 14 gods or 14 Eves or whatever it is that we have called forth, when they are consolidated in numerical value, they become 5. It's like 1 plus 4 equals 5. And that is the divine feminine right there. That is Mother Eve that I am talking about, as in reference to the story that we learn in the Holy Bible about Adam and Eve. I've also discovered through the Holy Bible as well that in the 3rd verse of the Holy Bible, where we hear "Let there be light," it was the divine feminine casting her first spell, so to speak. She was the goddess. She is the serpent. She is the snake, of course, which was said to be cast to the ground. Again, we hear the word "cast" right there, which is often associated with Hollywood or acting, or acting is quite good, in fact, because that is really reminding us that we are on a grand stage and we all are acting. So I've also discovered that this goddess is the one who the first words that would bring out the creation that we are part of right now. It's she who said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And of course, we continue to also see through the teachings in the Holy Bible. Again, all the references I am making here is through the Holy Bible, that there have been eight entries, eight entries of the words of the said God. So the said God is the spokesperson. She is still yet again the divine feminine. She is the waters that was spoken of in Genesis of chapter 1 and verse 2. When the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, we are talking about Mother Eve. We are talking about the divine feminine. We are talking about the said God. She is the spokesperson. She is the orchestrator. She is the architect of the grand design. And so she's the one who says, "Let there." When she says there, it's like pointing towards a certain direction, but having the certainty and assurance that whatever is there, as in the word there, is also here from within the heart, which coincides again yet with the teachings of Christ, who said that the answer of whatever you want is within you. So within and without, as within, so without. And that is the teaching that I feel that was amiss throughout my life until of late. So basically, of course, we have learned those things in different through other teachers and brilliant scholars and so on. But the Holy Bible itself has a gem of wisdom, but it seemed like it it requires one to really seek very deeply, and seek as though they were looking for a needle through a haystack, something to that effect. So basically, I feel that there is lots that have been discovered that I didn't really see before in Genesis of chapter 1. Of course, this is where we also discovered that 9 gods are in Genesis of chapter 1. And those 9 gods, let's see if I've got the reference, but they, okay, I might just be able to give you a few of the gods, but it's the God who made. We have the God who set, and so it's the set God, the made God, the called God, the caused God, the formed God, the saw God, the God of soaring, and the God of course, we have said the God of light, which is the said God. And so we have right there, and the God who moved, and so on. So they do go on, and these are how it's in those references that we have come to see how we as well, it's like we were born, and this is where it is said we were born in sin. But this sin, of course, was another story that seemed to have gone that has had too many inferences in what it really means, because the S is really a symbol before the IN, which is where we hear in the beginning. So it's the serpent. It's more or less the serpent giving a depiction of its nature right there in the opening of the word in or sin, for instance. So when we have in the beginning, it's really the construct of beginning and end. We seem to have forgotten that as within, so without, or it's that it goes either way in all the polarities or the two ends of the spectrum, however we want to see it. So we have also looked at Genesis of chapter 1 and discovered that the God who is the said God is the main God, as we say, in the sense of the architect of the grand design or the grand play, if we want to put it this way. And it's through that God as well, we recognize that we are not the first human being to have occupied earth, and through the channeling the divine energy within me, I have also discovered that we are ending a 7,000-year cycle. We are ending the 7 years cycle and moving it 7,000-year cycle, 7,000-year cycle, and we are now approaching the 8,000, the 8th cycle. So in this 8th cycle, the number 8 is there. We are really like meeting with the set God, because the set God, the word set equals 8. Oh, we have a number 8 here. This is how the set God works synchronistically. Okay, so the set God actually works here with this 8. And I'm seeing the word soul right here, which I was doing a presentation, but it also is like the soul, S-O-U-L. So 8 is actually, although soul might be 13, 1, 1, 3, 3. Ah, wow. No, this is 6. This is meant to be 6. Okay. So this is 12, 9, 12, 13. So it's correct. It's 13. But we can see how 13 is the soul as well. As I say, the number 3 is that it has the ability to become an 8-petal flower. So there are two ways of looking at this. So soul is 13. Let's just get rid of this here. And it's as if the 13 is already telling us the quantity of what is happening here, or it's going to be, it has the ability to be 1 8-petal flower. I don't know if I did 8 petals here, but this is M, it is 3, it is W, and it is E. So that is it is M, it is 3, it is W, and it is E. So that's the 8-petal flower, which we can call the soul, because 1 plus 3 is 4. But what happens here is that this is where the bonding of wholeness, when there's agreement and there is bonding, it forms the whole as though it were 8. So 8 is really like a whole rubber band, or a twisted band, we could say. So basically it comes to the same thing. There's a wholeness of the breast. As we can see, there are 2 aspects to the B here as well, and it could be either way, but we are talking about wholeness. There is a set, something is set in a certain pattern, and that's what we are talking about, moving into that 8th cycle. And actually the word 8 as well equals 4. So we can see how 8, EIGHT, when we do the numerical value for 8, it is showing us the direct correlation with the soul. This is 8, 7, 9, 5. Let's add this up. This is 10, 17, that's 26, 31. 3 plus 1 is 4. So it's really the reverse. It is really giving us the reverse to the soul, the number for the soul, which is 13. And so it's mirroring, it's actually mirroring the soul. And this is what we mean about the set. So also we learn that we have discovered the number 13 to be crucial. This is where things are germinated. So we are talking about the soul right there again. We are talking about the soul in number 13. We have seen the magnitude of 13, or the significance of 13. I call it the incubator. So this is where we shape the soul, or we nourish our soul, or sometimes we don't even do that, depending on how we have set, or what we have put in that setting for our soul. So we are talking about the word set right there again. So there is lots we have learned from Genesis of chapter 1 and 2. We also know that the second Adam's wife was really an Eve, was Eve, but it's not the Eve, it's like one of the Eves. It's a daughter of the main Eve. It's just like if you were like the names that had been that we have from our parents' names. So we have parental names, our surname, and so that is what has happened with Eve and the Eve who became Adam's wife. And so also to think that that Eve had come from Adam, it was not so. This is another story we have discovered in Genesis, that it is the Eves were all created in that sense from when God said, let there be light. There was the he there, and there was the he and her already in the word there. I have done presentations on that. So if you want to check out my presentations, that would be where there is there is he, there is her, or something to that effect, or any word with that there is here and there. So basically, Mother Eve is the one who called, who cast the spell, we could say, and brought all those things into being. So everything had come into being in that third verse of Genesis of chapter 3, in let there be light. We have deconstructed the words to see, for instance, the word let is like denoting allow. Let it happen, allow this, allow there. It's like the word there, as I say, it has he, it has her, it has the, like in the beginning, because the is number 6 and the is what we are. We are all everything, meaning that of Mother Eve, as in everything. The word the has the tree. Of course, it is from the word tree that the story of Christ have derived as the sacrifice or crucifixion. We see that happen. And the word there as well, the word there is that it also is the word 3 when the letters have been switched, meaning the 9, the R, which equals 9, becomes the very centered letter, and that is 3. And that would mean the 2 other letters on either sides, the double E, that would be 10, and the TH is also 10. So basically, there in the word 3 is very indicative of birthing on either sides. Perfection, we could say, is being done on either sides. So there are 2 sets of creation in that word being expressed right there. Let's just show you. Okay, so for instance, Mother Eve says, let there be light, and there was light. Okay, but I won't do let there be light. I won't do the rest. And there was light. But the word that is so crucial, one of the words, all the words they are very calculated in the sense of what they are meant to do or portray, or what they mean. So the word there, of course, we have looked at it as 3. And that was the one of the last words we saw. Now the R in the middle of 3 equals 9, and if we add these 2 together, which is 5 plus 5, and we have 2 plus 8, both would give us 10 right here. So there we see the magic of perfection. It's like saying these 2, because it's male and female, is birthing something, and these 2, male and female, is also birthing something. When we see 2 5s like this, we are really looking at Mother Eve directly right there, or the 2, or the Eves, or Mother Eve. And here, of course, the 2, Mother Eve has always asked as well that we pay attention to the first letter, the value of the first letter, and the last letter. And we see when we do this with the number 3 right here, which is the T, we can see the magnitude of T as the cross that has become. We can see the magnitude of the story too of Mother Eve as 5 that has become. So this 2 plus 5 would be 7. And we know that everything here, we see that we learn about creation being done in 7 days. And as I have also made mention of the sevens, the sets of sevens that we have discovered in Genesis, of the 2 sets of 7 that the gods are, the 7 Eves of the 7 visible planets, and the 7 seas. We also understand that when we look at the story of Mother Eve in the garden as the serpent, that the word serpent also equals 7. And of course, we also get to see that that really meant Mother Eve was present present in the garden with her daughter Eve, also Eve. She is the one who was able to say, have the other God more or less said that you should not eat of the fruit? But she is saying, the day that you eat of the fruit, in fact, you shall not surely die. You shall not surely die. Because she knew that she had already given to the daughters or to her children everything. There was the word, and that was implicit in certain texts where it is said, behold, I have given you every fruit bearing tree after its kind that have its seed in it. And so when we read this, and that we read this subsequent text or in few other verses, we could see that it's at one point there was an interjection, we could say, of one of the gods say when he blessed, because to bless is to so be blessed. And so this is after the blessing was done. Mother Eve really came back to say, behold, I have given you all fruit. It's like something may seem to have been taken away, but she came back to say to Adam and Eve there, she's saying, but behold, it's like behold, hold on, be all, because it's hold is HOLD, that H is 8. So she's more or less saying, be God, be the God of old, and it's like remember who you are, because you have everything. And this is the word, I have given you everything. So our meaning of the word everything is that everything is implicit. There is no discrimination of not this or that. Later on we see, of course, but it's the other God who said, but of the fruit of the tree of life and good and evil you shall not eat of it. Of course we can see how, again, because it's a numerical value, it's a numerical construct that has been involved in the writing and making of the Bible. So you shall not eat is to also say you shall not eat. You shall not eat of it. Of course, you shall not. You shall not eat. But there is something that has happened right here, because we are talking about the numerical value. What if it was really meant to have this E right here? You shall not at it. At it, meaning pay attention to it. That as well could, I believe, is the game according to the message Mother Eve is giving me. That is something that had been passed on. It's just that had changed their position in actual fact. But when we do the numerical value for all of this, because another thing that is important to remember, not is actually this. It's supposed to be nothing to talk about, to think about. It is not. And so basically the word not, which psychologists have told us that the brain does not register this. It does not register it. So we are culminating a series of guilt on something that has had no significance in this sense. So you shall eat. Basically, you shall eat it. Because the word not in our makeup, it's not. It's funny that we have devised a language that not means nothing, and on the other hand, it would be that very nothing that would be the catalyst of mankind's fall. So I'm going to leave you with this and see, of course, what makes sense to you on this, what we have spoken about, but these are things we are uncovering in Genesis. As we say, not is not. If we say not, we have said nothing. And however, is that not that seem to have had a very adverse effect on the other hand. So let's this is where Mother Eve says, I have not given you the spirit of fear, but the spirit of sound mind. And so I believe that in the Bible, this is in the Bible, I believe that this is scripturally based there to help us get out of our fear zone, that fear zone of that dichotomy, that of that which we have been presented, and to make sense of what is going to help us grow to where we need to be and experience the life that we are meant to on this earth. Thank you very gladly. I hope we can say after going through this presentation, well, not I hope, let us just do this. Let there be light, and there was light. Thank you.